The Minnesota Vikings had a massive opportunity to go on the road in Cincinnati and pull off a win. That would have put them to 8-6 and would have been pretty much almost a guarantee that they'd make the playoffs, right? But they didn't, and a lot of it has to do with the quarterback, Nick Mullins. Nobody has had more quarterback issues this season than Minnesota. They have Kirk Cousins, of course, who ended up tearing his Achilles. And then, of course, they were dealing with, Josh Dobbs and then Nick Mullins now. And also we saw a little bit of Jaron Hall. That's 4 quarterbacks the Vikings have played this season, and they just haven't been able to find any consistency outside of Cousins. Dobbs looked like he could be the guy, but then he started to play very low-level football. The Vikings weren't even able to put up a single point last week with him as the starter, and then, of course, they had to go to Mullins, and it wasn't much better. I mean, you look at the stats, and you're going to see 303, 26 of 33, of course, for Mullins, but then you realize, well, I'm looking at Jordan Addison, who had 111 yards, Justin Jefferson had 84 yards, T.J. Hawkinson had 63 yards, Ty Chandler had 132 yards rushing, not to mention 25 as a receiver. So the weapons around Mullins basically did all of the work. And Mullins, I would say, single-handedly lost his team this game. He threw 2 picks. I mean, both of them took points off the board for the Vikings, right? I mean, the defense played well. Like, Jake Browning had 324 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception, took 4 sacks. The run game, 22 for 80 only out of the Bengals. Receiving, Jamar Chase was essentially non-existent in this game. He did have 64 yards. But 4 catches, I mean, I would have taken any single day of the week if I'm, of course, Brian Flores and the Vikings. And then T. Higgins had 61 yards, but the issue is he had 2 touchdowns, one of them wide open in the back of the end zone. The second one makes just a heroic catch to save the game for the Bengals, right? He was able to reach, of course, at the 1-yard line, and that's sort of the thing for the Vikings is a lot of missed opportunities. They had chances in this game, and unfortunately they weren't able to capitalize, but this is one the Vikings should have won, and it's going to sting the rest of the season because now Minnesota, they still are in the playoffs at 7-7 in the NFC. They're the 6th seed. They're 1 game ahead of the Packers. But their schedule, the rest of the year, is the issue. I mean, the Lions are not playing the best football right now, but it's still one of the top teams in the NFC. You'd have to imagine that these 2 teams are going to split that. And then Green Bay, which is a home game, thankfully. But that's the Vikings' schedule. I mean, that's a very difficult schedule. That's 3 playoff teams the Vikings play in 3 games. So, I mean, they're going to have to step up and ball out. And with this, the lack of quarterback play, it's going to be very difficult. But thankfully, the Lions' defense has been playing some of the worst in the league right now. And then the Packers, like Jordan Love, he's had some good games. He's had some bad games. I mean, he just went on the road and lost to the Giants, of course, in primetime. So I do think the Vikings still have a very good chance to make the playoffs. I mean, they've got Kevin O'Connell, one of the best offensive minds in the game. Same thing on defense. Brian Flores, one of the best offensive minds in the game. The weapons, it just doesn't get better. I guess like the 49ers, the Eagles, like there's teams that have better weapons, but first of all, Addison's a rookie at a USC. Jefferson's still in his mid-20s down to this point. Hawkinson, I mean, it's just hard to find weapons better than the Vikings, but the one thing they've been lacking on offense has been, obviously outside of consistent quarterback play, is a run game. I mean, Alexander Mattison has been bad this season. The offensive line has been questionable as well. I mean, it's had its moments. Of course, they were without Brian O'Neill in this one, but there hasn't been any explosiveness, and that was until Ty Chandler went absolutely berserk in this game. And I can't stress enough of this win for the Vikings and what it would have meant for the direction of this team. I mean, you just go on against a Bengals team that had been red hot, that had beat 3 straight playoff teams in the AFC, go into their building and pull that off, and now you've got a lot of momentum. A win would have basically almost guaranteed the Vikings to make the playoffs. And now, I mean, they seriously are going to have to win 2 of their next 3. They cannot go 1-2 in these next games because that would put them at 8-9. And, I mean, technically that can make the playoffs, but I don't think it will, right? You're going to have to win 2 of these next 3. So can Minnesota do that is going to be the question. To me, I think they can. I think they will. I don't see them losing at home. Actually, is that even a home? Yeah, that is. Okay, I was right. Yeah, they're at home against the Packers. I do think they go 2-3, so they'll be fine. But the ceiling of this team is just so low. Like Nick Mullins, Josh Dobbs. I mean, you're basically just using them as game managers and just playing around the defense and these weapons. And Mullins did make some good throws. Like, I don't want to make it seem like he's trash. Like, he started nearly 20 games in his career. He did have some lasers. But when he's under pressure, I mean, that's when the concern starts. And when you're in the playoffs, right, or when you're in this late in the season, I mean, the Lions, Aiden Hutchinson, right? The Packers, Rashawn Gary, Kenny Clark, Preston Smith. The Lions also should be getting back James Houston, who was, of course, the Lions broke the rookie sack record in NFL history last year. Houston should be coming back, I believe, and they've got some good guys up front. Lee McNeil, John Kaminsky, I like too, but I mean, the offensive line for the Vikings is the thing. They did a great job at, of course, opening up run lanes in this game. I mean, the Bengals, they did a good job. Like, they really did. I mean, Trey Hendrickson did have a sack and a half, but he was under control the entire game because Christian Darrisaw is one of the best left tackles overall, especially young ones, but just overall one of the best left tackles. And I haven't seen a left tackle do as good of a job as he did. Hendrickson, he did have, like I said, he had made some plays. He had a tackle for a loss, but overall the Vikings did keep him under control. And outside of that, I mean, Minnesota, we'll see what they do the rest of the year. It's going to be a fun team to watch out for. But I mean, this is one of those games that stings because they should have won it. And the Bengals, this is one of their best comebacks in their franchise's history. I mean, like, you look in the third quarter. I mean, the Vikings, they go up, of course, 7-3 at halftime, and then all of a sudden they go up 17-3 in the third quarter. And then the fourth quarter comes, and everything started to change. I mean, the Bengals just made big plays. I don't know, man, just one that you're the Vikings, man, you just want to forget about. But hey, the good thing is they're still in the playoffs, and they still have a great chance the rest of the year. They're going to be on the road, of course, in Week 18, but they're going to play 2 games at home the next 2 weeks, Week 16, Week 17. And I don't think there's any reason to panic. The only thing is the Vikings have got to get this quarterback thing figured out because the quarterback doesn't need to do what Jake Browning is, but he just cannot be costing them, points, right? Like, you can't be throwing a pick when you get down in the red zone. You can't be trying to, throw the ball away and it goes into a interior defensive lineman's hands. And Mullins also got lucky when he was rolling out in the red zone and found Addison. I mean, that was a ball he should not have thrown, but he got kind of lucky. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts on everything that's been going on with Minnesota. To me, I'm definitely just not even concerned, just because if you look at the NFC teams in contention with the Vikings, like the Rams, the Seahawks, the Falcons, the Saints, there's not too much to be worried about. And the Rams, and the Seahawks have brutal schedules. Like, you look at the Rams schedule, they have the Commanders at home, but then they take on the Saints and the Giants and then the 49ers. And the Giants have won 3 in a row. The 49ers are the best team in the league. The Saints, defensively, I mean, the Saints and Commanders, I think, are winnable games, but they'll probably split that. And then I don't know if they're going to be able to go on the road in New York and Santa Clara and against the Niners and win that. And then the Seahawks is even worse, like Seahawks schedule. They have the Eagles, Titans, Steelers, and Cardinals, right? So, I mean, there's a chance the Seahawks lose 3 of their next 4 games. I don't think they're going to beat the Eagles. I don't think they're going to be able to go into Tennessee and win. And then, the Steelers at home, they'll probably win that. Cardinals, that's on a road game. So that's the thing for the Vikings is just the good thing is when you're already in the playoffs, you sort of control your own destiny. So can they get it done? I guess we'll wait and see. But, yeah, guys, peace.